Hi guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. This week you're going to notice my backdrop is a little bit different. I'm sitting here in my office at work. I just had a conversation with a client and it's something that I thought would make a really fun video. So while it wasn't necessarily financial, it was completely automotive directed and we were just having a conversation. The client knows that I bought this Audi R8. I don't drive it to work a lot. I really try not to show it off, so to speak. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. So I only drive it maybe once a week. I've had the car almost 3 months and I've probably put about 400 miles on it. So I don't drive it that much. I really enjoy the car, but I haven't driven it that much. So a long story short, I'll cut to the chase. He basically said, why did you get the hardtop instead of the convertible? So it was kind of an interesting conversation because I've had convertibles, I've had lots of hardtops, and we started talking about desirability and long-term values and all those things. And it really depends on the car, which dictates whether or not a hardtop is more desirable or a convertible. So for whatever reason, using my R8 as our example, we'll just kind of use that. Hardtops sell for more, and I don't know why that is. They didn't make a huge difference in quantities. It's a pretty limited car anyway, but let's, for round numbers sake, maybe they make 1,000 hardtops and 800 or 900 or maybe 1,000 convertibles. And there's different engine variations in my body style, at least. They have the V8 or the V10. Different interior colors, different exterior colors, different carbon fiber packages, all those things. And so, it's fascinating because if you compare values side by side of the hardtop R8s versus the convertible R8s, it seems like you can get a slightly newer, maybe even lower mileage convertible for the same as maybe a slightly older with more miles hardtop. So for whatever reason in that particular car, hardtop tends to be more valuable or more desirable. I would argue Ferrari is the same way. For whatever reason, convertible Ferraris tend to be a little cheaper than their hardtop counterparts. Same thing with some BMWs, right? We look at the M3. You can get it in both convertible and a hardtop. Not always, but different years, different body styles, things like that. For whatever reason, the convertible tends to be less valuable. If you look at classic cars, for example, let's pick on my Mustang, right? My 68 convertible Mustang. I actually bought it because it was cheaper. Now, that's a little different angle because there's two different hardtops, right? There's the fastback and the coupe. And the convertible kind of fits in the middle on the pricing scale. And that's how it is today. The fastback is always going to be the most expensive, then the convertible, then the coupe. And so, would I rather have a coupe than a convertible? No, I'd rather have the convertible than the coupe. Would I rather have a fastback than a convertible? Yeah, I would. So there's, again, that desirability kind of dictates the level of value. I'm sure, I can't think of a lot of examples right now. There are cars that are more desirable convertible than there are hardtops. If you think of some high-end cars, they don't even offer a convertible version. And I think part of that is, when you're building a sports car, you need that frame, you need that chassis to be as rigid as possible. And so the moment you cut the roof off, you have to restabilize and add new support cross member beams and all sorts of stuff. You have to add, maybe a thickness to the floor pan. You need to, compensate for some extra weight gain or loss, depending on what type of car it is. But a lot of the time, if it's a convertible car, let's say it's a hardtop convertible. So let's use a modern day BMW 3 Series car. Okay, they've got a regular coupe, they have a soft top convertible, they have a hardtop convertible. Now the hardtop convertible probably weighs the most of the three. So again, in a sports car, not necessarily a 3 Series, but in a sports car, you need to have that weight to power ratio that really benefits the car and the driver. And they don't care as much about the aesthetics at that point, right? They want to make it as beautiful as they can, but they've got to realize that someone buying a sports car probably wants to go fast. They probably want it to handle well, and they want it to look nice. So chopping the top off of a car can dramatically change the look. Soft tops, if they're canvas or whatever that material is, they don't necessarily look the same, right? Obviously, as the hardtop counterpart. Companies have tried to mask that and mold that together, if you will, by offering a hardtop convertible in some cases. But to me, that adds weight. And so unless you don't care and you want a convertible, get the hardtop convertible or the coupe. It was just kind of an interesting topic because I hadn't really thought that much about the differences. I mean, I knew an R8 when I wanted one, I wanted a coupe. I mean, I wanted the hardtop. That was what came out initially. That's what was available. They didn't come out with the convertible for a couple of years later when they started changing engine options and things like that. And so there was never a Spider version, so to speak. Porsche 911s, another awesome example of a car that costs a ton less in a convertible version. And so, I think it has everything to do with autocrossing, road racing, just driving fast. Maybe it's a drag strip, whatever it is. You want the coupe, maybe because you want the roof over your head for protection, right? If you roll that car, the hardtop's going to withstand that rollover much better than a soft top or even a hardtop convertible. Again, the rigid frame, body, all that stuff is helpful to have a one-piece design as opposed to, a retractable roof that kind of changes the balance and everything. Even the weight distribution is different on a car that's convertible. So it really does come down to personal preference. And I do think that, from a long-term standpoint, even collectability standpoint, it really depends on the car itself. If you're buying a car to drive the crap out of it and you just want it because you want it, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with a convertible. And if you can save a few bucks in the process, do it. I mean, my R8, I could have got a convertible, a couple years newer, similar mileage, similar in cost. I didn't want a convertible. I wasn't really even looking at them. Since I bought my car, I've only seen one hardtop coupe, even close in price. Everything is a bit higher. Everything's a bit more money today than it was, 3 months ago. Convertibles really haven't continued that trend of upticking, if you will, for values. They've kind of plateaued. They're just kind of are what they are. And, long-term collectability, I don't know, it's one more thing to go wrong, right? You've got convertible mechanisms that go bad. You've got seals and, that canvas top can rip and tear and the back window might get fogged up or cracked or whatever it is, depending on the material. And so there's a whole nother set of problems that come with a convertible. And again, it just really depends on what your desirability is leading you towards, right? I mean, if you want a Corvette, convertible Corvettes are really similar in price to a coupe. High-end exotics, Lambos, same thing. I mean, from the factory, they're similar in price. It's an add-on option to have the soft top or the convertible top or a Targa top or T-tops or any of those things, but they're all a little bit different. And so when you start talking about desirability, it's a really personal decision. When you're talking about it from an economic standpoint, it's really not a personal decision, and it's more of what the general public believes. I've had several cars that are convertibles. I had a 3 Series BMW that was a convertible. I had my Z3 that's convertible. Obviously, my 68 Mustang is a convertible. I've had a couple of Jeep Wranglers. I had an FJ40. Lots of cars that you can take the top off on. And not all those cars were also available in a hardtop version. I mean, the Wrangler is a good example. It comes with a hardtop that is removable. It's not a convertible, and there wasn't an option to not have a hardtop unless I wanted the canvas top, but it's still the same vehicle, right? The BMW, the 3 Series, I already used that as an example here, but you could have bought the hardtop version instead of the convertible. Not a race car. It's a cruise around town car. I didn't care whether or not the rigidness of the frame was compromised. I wasn't going to drag race it. I wasn't going to road race it or autocross it. So to get around town, I loved the fact that it was convertible. That was awesome, right? My 68 Mustang, I already said it. I preferred a fastback, but I could not afford it. So to me, the budget allowed me to get my Mustang in the form of a convertible. And then later in life, I did buy that fiberglass fastback roof. So once I get that painted, from 10 or 15, 20 feet away, somebody might not even know it's a convertible. So I kind of have the best of both worlds there. The R8, yeah, I mean, a convertible is an awesome car. They're beautiful. They look a little different, but still function the same. Interior's similar, all that stuff. You still have the mid-engine in the back, still a supercar by all definition, but it's not going to appreciate in value the same way the hardtop's going to. So again, I would argue that it's more of a personal preference. It's more of a personal decision. If you want a convertible, buy the convertible. But if you're buying an investment car, do your research or reach out to somebody or talk to dealers or talk to whomever who may have a better idea of what's selling and what's not. You know, are we seeing prices rise on convertibles right now versus coupes? Probably not. I think convertibles have somewhat plateaued, and again, those hardtop coupes tend to rise in value. You know, one thing I hadn't even touched on, but I didn't even talk to my client about this either, I'm just thinking out loud, is the weather. You can't, I mean, you can drive a convertible in the rain, you can do all those things. You're not going to want to take it out in the snow. Not that you necessarily drive your sports car in the snow, but you know, there's that added layer of the weather. It's just another factor. You know, weather beats on those roofs and can wear a soft top out much, much faster. You also you're more prone to leakage. So if you leave your convertible outside and it's raining, if you don't have fantastic seals and everything on your soft top, yeah, you might end up having a little drip or a little puddle in the floorboards or whatever it is. You don't want any of that stuff, you know, so again, personal preference, but you've got to weigh all these options to see whether or not it's worth it. But if it just truly comes down to budget, if you've got to have an R8 and you don't care if it's a hardtop or a convertible, you can probably get a newer car with similar mileage in a convertible form for the same as an older coupe. So it just depends on your bang for your buck. And, you know, so now that I've kind of laid that all out there for you, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm crazy? Again, I think it's personal preference. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. For me personally, I love my convertible Mustang. If someone came to me today with a fastback that was restored the exact same way, would I trade them? I don't think that I would, because now that I have my fiberglass top, I really like the fact that I can do both. It's a hard top fastback, soft top convertible. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Inversely, if someone came to me with an R8 that was a convertible version of what I got and they wanted to trade me, I'd say no. I've wanted a coupe. That was what I was after. That's what I was looking for. I really like it. But then there's those cars that are interchangeable and they don't matter. So then it really becomes personal preference. Now that I've completely talked in circles and probably confused you more than helped you, thanks for watching. As always, please like, subscribe, stay tuned for next week's episode, and we will see what happens. But in the meantime, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.